Good morning. If I could have your attention for just a moment, my name is Jamie Burge, and I'm the president of Franklin Pierce University here in New Hampshire. If we could begin by if I could have people in front here just to sit down. There are some cameras and folks in the back that would like to be able to see the podium, so thank you for your cooperation. As the president of Franklin Pierce University in Rindge, I'm pleased and honored to be here today as the Master of Ceremonies. Through our rigorous academic and curricular programs, Franklin Pierce University offers a foundation in liberal arts and prepares students to be leaders of conscience. This foundation, as solid as granite, has led our graduates to be leaders in government, industry, education, entertainment, and civic affairs. Franklin Pierce, our nation's 14th president, has inspired an educational mission grounded in a wisdom born of practicality that has produced generations of men and women committed to public service and professional expertise. It should be no surprise then that I am pleased to be the president of the university named after New Hampshire's native son, Franklin Pierce. Today there are a number of people helping us honor President Pierce, and I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge them. If you could just stand so we could see who you are and where you are, we would be grateful. First, retired ambassador to Trinidad, Terry Shoemaker is here. Terry is here somewhere. Retired ambassador to Belize, George Bruno is also here. Concord City Manager, Tom Aspel. Concord State Representative Lynn Blankenbecker. Concord State Representative Mary Stewart Gile. Dean John Hudson from Franklin Pierce Law School. Robert Frisch, the Regional Representative for ANA. And Bill Gardner, Secretary of State of New Hampshire. Thank you all for joining us today. I also want to take a moment to thank the Pierce Brigade for their support of today's event, and especially I'd like to thank Joan Woodhead, the president of the Pierce Brigade. So Joan, if there you are, great. I'm grateful for their work to organize the day's events and to honor the university's namesake. At this point, let me invite the Patriot Fife and Drum Duo to come forward and offer a fanfare, followed by the presentation of the colors by the Governor's Horse Guard. If we could all recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
step back. Present. Huh. Order. Huh. Left. Face.
Thank you. You may be seated. I am pleased to introduce a number of people who are here to offer greetings. Matt Leahy for Senator Judd Gregg, Pam Slack for Senator Jean Shaheen, Terry Beyer for Representative Carol Shea Porter, and Lisa Levine for Representative Paul Hodes. Matt?
Thank you, Dr. Burge. Good morning, everybody. I have a letter from Senator Gregg I would like to read if I could. He is sorry he's down in Washington today. Please pass along my best wishes to everyone celebrating the launch of the Franklin Pierce presidential coin. The citizens of New Hampshire have long played a critical role in our country's history. From General John Stark's heroic actions at the Battle of Bunker Hill to Daniel Webster's leadership in the United States Congress through today, when thousands of our residents cast their votes in the nation's first presidential primary, we are a state with a well-deserved reputation for civic engagement. Franklin Pierce epitomized this call to public service. His election as president capped a career in which he held the titles of Speaker of the New Hampshire House of Representatives, United States Senator, United States Congressman, and General. Few Americans can make this claim, and he certainly deserves the honor we are observing today. And we should be proud he was a New Hampshire native. And I would like to give special recognition to the members of the Pierce Brigade for their efforts in organizing this event. Their continued commitment to preserving President Pierce's legacy is a great example of the unique spirit of volunteerism that has made New Hampshire such a great place to live and raise a family. Thank you, and my best wishes for a wonderful day. Sincerely, Judd Gregg, U.S. Senator. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Burge. And Senator Shaheen is also in Washington today. She has sent a letter for me to read. Dear friends, thank you for your invitation to the Franklin Pierce Presidential Dollar Coin Launch Ceremony. I regret that I cannot be with you today as you celebrate at the former president's historic family home. As the only president to call New Hampshire his home, it is important we recognize this occasion. This coin is an opportunity to revisit the times of Franklin Pierce, a critical period of American history. On behalf of the people of New Hampshire, I would like to thank the United States Mint, the coin designer Susan Gamble, and the coin engraver Charles Vickers for remembering Franklin Pierce and providing this opportunity to reflect on New Hampshire's significant impact on American history. Sincerely, Jean Shaheen, United States Senator. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Terry Beyer. I'm District Manager for Congresswoman Carol Shea Porter. Congresswoman is in Washington as well today and sends her greetings to everyone. This is her letter. Dear friends, thank you for inviting me to the official unveiling of the Franklin Pierce Presidential $1 coin. This is the 14th presidential coin issued by the United States Mint in accordance with the Presidential Dollar Coin Act of 2005. I commend the United States Mint for implementing this program so effectively, and I thank Deputy Director Andy Bernhardt for being here today to commemorate this occasion with us. Franklin Pierce is the only president ever elected from New Hampshire, and the university named in his honor is duly committed to preparing the next generation of leaders from the Granite State. I am sure if President Franklin Pierce were alive today, he would say he felt honored not only have a coin named after him, but to also have a university to carry his name. Thank you again for the invitation, and please know that I share your pride. Best wishes, Carol Shea Porter, Member of Congress.
Good morning. My name is Lisa Levine, and I'm the Director of Special Projects for Congressman Paul Hodes. And as my predecessors have said, all of our bosses are in Washington today. Paul particularly was disappointed that he couldn't be here today because he feels particular ties to Franklin Pierce and to Daniel Webster and to others who have gone before him to Washington. He, in fact, tells a story of how he, when he walks to go vote, sometimes he walks through Statutory Hall and there's a statue of Daniel Webster, and he feels very tied to New Hampshire when he takes that walk to go vote. And so in addition to thanking all of the important people who are here today, and most especially the Pierce Brigade for organizing this wonderful, wonderful, beautiful day today, I really want to bring a message from the Congressman to the school children who are here today, and to thank all of you for coming, because it's important that you all remember our history here in New Hampshire, and it's important that you all remember who Franklin Pierce was and how important he is to our state. And it's exciting you are all here today. So thank you, and thank you to your schools for allowing you to come on this field trip. And thank you all for helping to organize this day.
Thank you all for the greetings. Now I'd like to introduce Joan Woodhead, the president of the Pierce Brigade, so she could give us a brief lesson on the significance of the Pierce Manse.
Good morning. On behalf of the Pierce Brigade, I'd like to welcome you to the Pierce Manse. We gather here today because in 1966, a group of citizens cared enough about the home of Franklin Pierce to save it from demolition. When Pierce purchased the home in 1842, it was conveniently located on Montgomery Street, about a block from the state capitol and close to his law office. He and Jane lived in the home with 2 sons. It was probably one of the happiest times in their lives. But tragedy struck, and Frankie died of typhus in the master bedroom up here at the age of 4. In 1847, Pierce left to go to the Mexican War. On his return in 1848, he sold the home to his law partner, Josiah Minot. The Pierces then either rented or stayed with relatives. In 1966, the home was in the way of an urban renewal project and slated for demolition. The Pierce Brigade was formed and worked tirelessly to raise the money to move and then renovate the house. The house was moved to this location in 1971 on land donated by Mrs. Theodore Woodman, a descendant of Reverend Timothy Walker, Concord's first clergyman. In 1974, it was open to the public. The collection contains many items that belonged to Jane or Franklin Pierce. Many of these items were in the possession of 2 grandnieces, Mary and Susan Pierce, who were in their 90s at the time. We are fortunate to count among our active members Polly B. Johnson, one of the original members of the Pierce Brigade. This year, opening day is June 15th, and we are open Tuesday through Saturday from 11 to 3, mid-June through Labor Day. From Labor Day to Columbus Day, we are open Friday and Saturday from 12 to 3, and we are closed on federal holidays. We'd like you all to come back and have a tour sometime. Brigade membership is open to all, and we are always looking for volunteer greeters and guides, as is the homestead in Hillsborough. If you are interested, information is available. The Brigade, along with Franklin Pierce University, is pleased to host the U.S. Mint for this special occasion, recognizing Pierce's attainment to the highest office in the land. Thank you all for coming to this event.
Thank you, Joan. Now let me introduce Peter Wallner, Pierce biographer and member of the New Hampshire Historical Society, and I also would like to add a member of our faculty at Franklin Pierce University. Peter.
Thank you, Dr. Burge. Good morning. What a glorious day to remember the only president from New Hampshire. Franklin Pierce isn't often remembered today in a celebratory way, and that is too bad because in many ways he was an admirable and patriotic citizen and a formidable political and military leader. The U.S. Mint is issuing a coin to commemorate each president in order, regardless of their historic reputation. But this provides us the opportunity to reflect on that reputation and to update the image of the man who served in the White House over 150 years ago. Who was Franklin Pierce? What did he accomplish in his life? Why should he be remembered today? First, Pierce was a product of the Granite State. Raised in Hillsborough in western New Hampshire, he admired the independent farmers who struggled to earn a living off the hardscrabble land. His early experiences with town meetings, annual elections, and examples of self-sacrificing service to one's community impressed upon young Pierce the value of the common man and the importance of democracy. These examples were the seeds of Pierce's own ambition to serve the nation in government and politics. He began his own public career as town moderator in Hillsborough at age 23, was elected to the state legislature at age 24, was elected by the members Speaker of the House at age 25, the youngest ever in New Hampshire history. He was elected to the United States House of Representatives at age 27 and to the United States Senate at age 32. It was a meteoric rise that demonstrates that from an early age, Pierce was the favorite son of his neighbors and of the voters of New Hampshire, as he reflected their values of independence, hard work, and individual liberty. Second, Pierce was a patriot. He grew up in the home of a Revolutionary War hero, his father, Benjamin Pierce. He always admired the accomplishments and sacrifices of the Revolutionary War generation and was determined to protect the Constitution and the Union which they created. This was the one constant in his political career. Besides his father's service in the American Revolution, Pierce also valued the contributions of his two older brothers and his brother-in-law, who served in the War of 1812. Not a popular war in New Hampshire. But they were motivated by patriotism and by the call to duty. Franklin Pierce would follow their example by volunteering to serve in the Mexican War, also an unpopular war in New England. He left his family, his home, and his lucrative law practice at age 42 to risk the possibility of death in his patriotic desire to serve his country. He enlisted as a private, but his prominent name resulted in his being offered a brigadier general's commission, which he fulfilled with honor, raising a brigade, fighting in the battles around Mexico City, and suffering injuries in the service to his country. Third, Franklin Pierce was an honest man. He did not view political office as an opportunity for self-aggrandizement. At a time when corruption was endemic in government, even more so than today, Pierce never profited from his political career. And as president, he ran one of the cleanest, most corruption-free administrations of the 19th century. To Pierce, public office was a public trust, and the American voters were entitled to frugal and efficient government. His administration managed to pay down 60% of the national debt in 4 years, and he operated with a surplus budget in each of the 4 years he was in office. There was never a hint of scandal or impropriety associated with any of Pierce's political activities. Fourth, Pierce was a good family man. He was devoted to his wife Jane, who was in fragile health and was never comfortable in social situations. He gave up elective office, resigning from the U.S. Senate in 1842, largely for family reasons, to raise his children in the state he loved, where his wife was more comfortable than in Washington, D.C. But the deaths of all three of their children cast a shadow over their lives, and Pierce spent the years after leaving the White House committed to doing everything he could to improving his wife's health and assuring her comfort and happiness. Following the deaths of his own children, Pierce devoted his time and fortune to the children of his family and friends, paying the college educations of his two nephews and of the son of his best friend, Nathaniel Hawthorne. Everyone who knew him, whether a political friend or foe, acknowledged Pierce's kindness and generosity. Finally, Pierce was a man of his times. Anyone wishing to learn about the United States in the mid-19th century will learn a lot by simply following Pierce's career. He was involved in every major movement of the times. For example, he advocated westward expansion, adding new territory to the nation as president, and opening up new lands for settlement. He supported the building of a transcontinental railroad and had the routes surveyed that later were used to connect the nation by rail. He defended freedom of religion and open immigration at a time when they were most imperiled by anti-Catholic and anti-immigrant political and social movements. As president, he appointed the first Catholic to his cabinet and the first Jew to a diplomatic post. In New Hampshire, he invited Concord's first Catholic priest to dine in his home, a symbolic gesture remembered to this day by New Hampshire's Catholic Church hierarchy. He also defended the Canterbury Shakers from state government attempts to restrict their religious practices. To Pierce, the First Amendment was sacred and must be defended. Pierce also understood that the U.S. was destined to become a world power. He endorsed the growth of our population and our industrial wealth, and as president, he worked to bring this about by advocating open immigration, free trade, and extending U.S. influence around the world. While promoting U.S. interests abroad, he maintained peace with all nations and improved our relations with Great Britain. The temperance movement was a popular cause in his time, and Pierce participated in it. But he steadfastly opposed prohibition, believing it was impractical and would be selectively enforced against the common man and religious minorities. In all of these movements, Pierce was on the right side of history. In only one area, the issue of slavery, did he fail to live up to his own principles. He stated many times that he abhorred slavery, but he saw clearly that the only way to end it was through a civil war which would result in the deaths of thousands of his neighbors. His vision was clouded by this fear and by his commitment to the Constitution and the Union as created by his father's generation. For his failure to embrace the cause of emancipation and civil war, his presidency and his reputation are forever tarnished. But a low ranking as president is not sufficient in understanding Franklin Pierce or the times in which he lived. His best friend, Nathaniel Hawthorne, wrote of Pierce, quote, "He is a most singular character, so frank, so true, so immediate, so subtle, so simple, so complicated," unquote. Pierce was a complex man with simple values. If a student of human nature like Hawthorne found Pierce to be infinitely interesting, history would profit by taking a second look and reconsider the career of the only president from the Granite State. Thanks to the U.S. Mint, by issuing this commemorative coin, the young people in our audience may be inspired to look beyond the textbooks to discover the real Franklin Pierce. As you look at the coin, think of the man. There is an old proverb that states, "Truth is the daughter of time." The passage of time permits us to understand Pierce better. At least today, we remember the many admirable qualities of a patriotic American, our 14th president, Franklin Pierce. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. And now I'd like to introduce Andrew Brunhart, the Deputy Director of the U.S. Mint. By an act of Congress, we could have these commemorative presidential coins, and it is the U.S. Mint's responsibility to cast and print them. So, Andy, we're especially delighted to have you here. Thanks for being here today. And it's my understanding you and Peter are going to have a pouring of the coins. Is that right? Great. Thanks, Andy. Thanks.
Well, as I do a little adjusting and get my notes out. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, I think that us adults in the audience, however, will agree with me almost instantaneously that the most distinguished guests here today are our children, because our children are our legacy. So good morning, everyone, and thank you, Dr. Burge, and thank you, Mr. Wallner, for being here today and joining us. I want to also thank Joan Woodhead of the Pierce Brigade and the entire Pierce Brigade and all those that made the arrangements today so that all of us attending can have some fun and maybe learn a thing or two. I'm delighted to be with you today to celebrate the life and legacy of Franklin Pierce, your New Hampshire's native son, and of course the 14th President of the United States. Today, we are introducing the Franklin Pierce $1 coin. I'm always pleased, in fact, elated, when I see children, our children at these events. And so children, I have a question for you. Remember, we just heard that Franklin Pierce was an honest man. So give me your honest vote. I have here a rather thick binder, which is full of a 4-hour speech. Should I give it? Oh, I see. Okay. Well, then I will endeavor to be brief, but I want to share one thing with you, and that is Franklin Pierce, of the many things you'll learn about him, his inaugural address was 3,300 words, and he memorized it, every word, before he gave it. My promise to you is that I will not be giving a 3,000-word speech this morning. You have just heard about the many accomplishments and the proud legacy and tradition of Franklin Pierce, and I won't repeat those for you today. I am going to concentrate just a little bit on the coin itself and its design. Since launching the presidential $1 coin program in 2007, we have to date launched 13 previous coins. Of course, the Franklin Pierce presidential $1 coin is the 14th in the series available to the public today. The obverse, that's for us children in the business, you probably call that the heads, presents a really striking and bold historical portrait of Franklin Pierce. And as is mentioned, that portrait was designed by Susan Gamble and sculpted by Charles Vickers. Kids, here's something you do not know most likely, because when you see a coin, it's smaller than that, and very seldom can you get a magnifying glass out and see initials. But the designers of coins are memorialized in perpetuity, that means for a long time, by their initials on the coin. So I encourage you later to come and look for those initials. The design of the reverse, and the reverse of a coin is called tails, exactly right, is of course Lady Liberty herself, our Statue of Liberty, which connects every American, every one of us, with our nation's ideals of freedom and democracy. And that was designed by Don Everhart, another great United States Mint artist. So today, millions of dollars of coins bearing Franklin Pierce's image are entering into circulation. They are in the bank system right now. As these coins move from our hand to our hand, actually pass from generation to generation, they will connect us to our history. They will remind us of Franklin Pierce and our presidents and their contributions to our great nation. Those who do not know about President Pierce may actually stop and look at the image and say, what was important about Franklin Pierce? And that is an important answer, kids, to learn. That's one reason why the presidential $1 coin program is important, because they are rich teaching tools. Presidential dollar coins are important for another reason as well. You can use them in vending machines, at the metro, in mass transit. They're convenient, easy to use, and guess what? Just one of them certainly weighs a little bit less than 4 quarters in your pocket. Also, presidential dollar coins are 100% recyclable. Did you know we recycle them? Once they have completed their life cycle, which by the way can be anywhere between 30 and 40 years, we take them back, they're worn, we melt them down, we take the metal and make new coins out of them. So ultimately that saves us, the taxpayer, money. Coins connect us. They connect us with our nation's history, our culture, and our traditions. We at the United States Mint are so very proud of our role in actually connecting America through the coins we provide you. So, before we officially launch the Franklin Pierce Presidential $1 coin, I want to share something with the children in the audience. By a show of hands, how many of you, I know you're on a field trip today, and by the way, when I heard that term, field trip, I hadn't heard that term in 40 years, and it took me instantaneously back. children, how many of you have actually visited a place called the internet? Raise your hand. Okay, that's what I thought. Almost all of you have visited. So I encourage you to visit a particular place. The United States Mint. www.usmint.gov. And look there for a little link that says hip pocket. You know, my hip pocket here, I have change. And so the link is called Hip Pocket Change. This is what you'll find there. You'll find really fun but educational games, cartoons, features, all sorts of neat things to do. And teachers and parents, what you will also find there are lesson plans. And there is a lesson plan there right now. It better be. Or I'm in trouble, and so are some other people. On Franklin Pierce, President Pierce. So I encourage you as an educational tool, because it's a fun way of learning. Okay, kids, because you have been so very patient today, and I have done a lot of launches, and I can tell that us collectively together as speakers have reached about the limit of attention. We are going to provide each of you 18 years of age and younger free a Franklin Pierce $1 presidential coin in about 2 or 3 minutes. That's the biggest ad. So now, it is my great pleasure to present Concord, New Hampshire, and to our nation, the Franklin Pierce $1 coin. Mr. Wallner, will you please help me do the honors? Okay, here we go. Now I have done this once or twice, so we will do this slowly, but it won't take 5 minutes. So if you're interested in a photo, I'd be ready right now. Look up, look up. I'm going to need help. Are you going to do it? Are you doing a little conclusion? Yeah, and then we're going to stop right there.
Let me conclude the day by thanking our sponsors for the event. Centrix Bank, who is here to help distribute coins to folks and to exchange any dollar bills for coins. The Common Man Restaurant supported us with some treats and snacks. The Greater Concord, New Hampshire Chamber of Commerce is also a sponsor, as is Sovereign Bank for their parking facility. And most importantly, the Pierce Brigade for the good work that they do, the stewardship of the Pierce Manse, and for honoring our native son, Franklin Pierce. Thank you all for being here today. I hope you enjoyed it, and have a wonderful day. Thanks. Oh, I'd love to. I would also just like to add that the Littleton Coin Company is also providing folders for children, so thank you.